So how do you set yourself up on the wall then?
I have my kicker at water level.
Okay.
So I have that on 0, so pretty much at water level.
Okay.
Then my toes obviously have to be on the wall.
Mhm.
And when I pull, it's weird. I hold on to the sides, but then I have my thumb over the bar in the middle, just so my hands don't
Oh.
slide down. I don't know if they would, but I just do that. That's my thing. So I
Okay.
hold on to that. And then kind of when I think of pulling up, I kind of just think of squeezing my shoulder blades like down and back and
Okay.
almost having like a flat back position.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
are you kind of pulling to 90 degrees, or are you pulling in closer, and is your butt on the surface of the water, or is it under the
My
water?
butt would just be, like, either on the surface or just below it, and with my arms, they would be, like they wouldn't be, like, full closed. There's still some room there because it's
Okay.
all a matter of just going like that.
Okay. Now, when you throw back on the start, I, I mean, how do you get the arch? Are you throwing your head back, or I mean, tell me, what are you doing to get the arch and get the feet up and over the water?
It's head back and then hip push like, driving your hips to the surface.
Okay, so you throw your head and then drive your hips.
Yeah, so it's like the weight of your head back
Uh huh.
and then the hips coming up, like, lets your feet go over
Okay.
the top. If you
All
don't
right.
push your hips up enough, then your feet kinda drag through the
Drag.
water.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
What about your arms? You're in this position. Are you throwing your arms around to the side, or do you throw them straight back? What do
I
you do
keep
with?
them straight back.
You throw them straight back. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Good. We're learning here. Okay. What are you doing with your underwaters?
I did a lot leading into Tokyo. So
Hmm.
my goal off every wall, apart from the start, was 5 dolphin kicks,
Hmm.
which for me, like, has not been what I normally focus on. Normally,
Hmm.
I'm all about, like, coming up and swimming because that was where I made my ground.
Right.
Whereas probably in the last 10 years, underwater has just been this slow increase of getting better, getting stronger, and people working it way more than what they used to.
Hmm.
So for me, that has was my focus leading into Tokyo, and I did a lot of work where we did lots of things, whether it be wearing those socks and
Hmm.
kicking water with them, doing like all these types of drills and skills. I think I did about half an hour uh, twice a week doing underwater work where it
Hmm.
was, whether it was, we did a lot going side to side in the pool, so about
Hmm.
25 meters, taking only one breath each wall every time you come up. So we
Hmm.
did a lot of that. And yeah, I think I actually did it in Tokyo for like the very first time. I hit 5 off every wall. So I was
Hmm.
really happy with that. And I've seen a lot of improvement with that. And even yesterday morning when I did my first session back with them, it was starting it off then, because if you can start it off when you're just coming back, it will be so much easier when you're in full training to be able to do
Right.
it.
How do you hold water? Like, I mean, how do you get that rhythm?
I've got giant feet, which
Okay.
help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the feet help.
And I've got really good like ankle flexibility.
Yeah, you do. Okay. Backstrokers have that freaky ankle like flexibility. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So when I kick, my ankles are so relaxed that
Mm,
almost my feet are like an extra kick on what my legs are doing
right.
because they're like a beat behind. So I
It's like
almost
it's
get
like whipping a towel almost, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I almost
Okay.
get more. So it's weird because I don't even think about it when I do it, and I can't feel it, but I can. And like when I do a lot of slow-mo videos of
Mm,
my swimming, and it's interesting to see how much those feet really bend.
right, right. You're not thinking about it, they're just naturally happening. But what are you thinking when you're actually entering and initiating the catch? And then what are you actually doing with your pull?
Okay, catch it like backstroke catch is my favorite thing because I
Okay.
think that I'm really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I once got told from someone after doing a training camp, I think, with the Australian team, that my backstroke is basically freestyle catch.
Mm,
So that's what I think about when I do my backstroke. So I keep my arm really close to my body
mm-hmm.
and I'm using my whole arm as like a paddle. So this stays really strong, and then it
Are
pulls.
you thinking like keeping the elbow in? Is that what
Yeah,
you think?
so it's like keeping like my arm close to my body. So my
Uh-huh.
elbow doesn't really go too far out from my body.
Right.
And it's all about like using this whole motion all the way through to my leg. Like I make sure that I really finish the stroke. So it's like a finish and
Uh-huh.
then back up.
Now, when you're holding water, would you say that your fingertips are pointed towards the side of the pool?
Yeah.
Okay. They
Yeah.
are. And then you just pull through, and then as you get closer to your thigh, you kind of you bring the water to your thigh and finish at your thigh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, again, it's one of those things that just comes naturally to me, but my hand is like a paddle, so it is
Mm.
strong. Like I don't swim like that at all. I swim like this, and I
Mhm.
really use as much force as I can when I do my arms.
Is there anything in the dry land or the gym that you can do to strengthen that at all?
Yeah, we did a lot of med ball throwdowns.
Uh-huh.
So having the med ball in your hand up here and then rotating to
Uh-huh.
do our catch and throwing the ball down as we do it, but keeping the ball like your hand over the top of the ball.
Right.
So it's not like the ball's just dropping, you're actually using the power to push it to the ground.
Mhm. And what do you think the weight of that med ball might be?
It would only be like 2 kilo, 3 kilo max.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just keeping it light so you can feel that you're pushing it all the way down.
Mhm.
Like, you wanna have that ball against your hand and using that power of your arms to really drive it to the ground.
Right. Now, once you get to your thigh, what are you doing in your recovery? How are you exiting the water, and then what are you doing in the recovery, and then how are you entering? Are you thumb kind of are you thumb exit and then that type of pinky enter kind of thing?
Yeah, yeah, I think, as I grew up, we did a lot of drills where it was like I don't know if you ever heard of it, you probably do a similar thing. It's called stop, check, and change. So we used to do like you had to come up, you had to stop, do the
Mhm.
stop sign, and then you had to have your pinky in first, and then you'd change your arms.
Right.
So
Okay.
I just grew up doing that, and I think I just naturally do that, but it's definitely for me, it's always gotta be, like, pinky in the water first. That's the only way I do it, and I rotate my hand quite quick to get that pull straight down, and I start that catch, like, right up when my hand enters the water. As soon as my pinky's in, it's a turn, and then it's a pull all the way down.
Mm. Wow. Okay. I mean, I guess you've spent a lot of time kind of analyzing that on video too, right?
A lot of time.
Yeah.
We do at least once a week where we're watching film back, and I
Mm.
film myself a lot too, just so I can see it for myself. Because sometimes when you slow everything down, you see a lot more, and when you're just looking at
Mm.
it yourself, you can actually see different things and then be like, "Oh, okay, this is what they're talking to me about." Sometimes when they tell you, it's like, "Oh, okay, like, yeah, no worries." And then when you see it yourself, you're like, "Oh, this is what they're talking about."
Right.
Sometimes
Yep.
I just need to see it myself and to
Right.
work it out, and then I can be like, "Okay, that's it."
Right, right. Speed in the recovery is obviously important in backstroke too. I mean, manipulation of the speed. So obviously in your 100, your tempo is going to be higher, but are you thinking about speed in your recovery, like from exit to entry point? Like, are you thinking about that speed?
The only thing I really think about when I'm swimming is the pull and the strength that I'm pulling.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm constantly thinking about each stroke and making sure the underwater part is right because
Mm.
the top part is whatever. It's not really that important as this part is. The only way you're moving forward is the underwater part.
So you're not necessarily thinking about speed and throwing the hand back as fast as you can then.
No.
Mm.
No, I'm thinking about the water that I'm pulling. I'm constantly thinking about the water that I'm pulling and feeling it with my hands. For a backstroke, I think of it as, making those kicks really small but really quick.
Right, right. Now, is there a breathing pattern in backstroke? I've heard some people talk about it, others not. Is there one for you?
Someone asked me that the other day, like a year ago, and I was like, "I have no idea." And then I did it, and I breathe on I breathe out on one arm and in on the other.
See, I heard that the other day too.
Yeah,
Someone else
I
told me
didn't know
that.
I did that. I didn't know I did that until
Yep.
someone asked me, and I was like, "Oh, I don't even know." And then I tried it, and I was like,
Yep.
"Oh."
Yep. I can't remember who told me that. Was it Ryan Murphy or somebody? It's like some freak backstroker told me that the other day. Like they
Yeah.
breathe, they have a breathing pattern as well. And I was like, okay, all right, that's interesting.
I mean, who would have thought, right? Because you can just breathe any time, but obviously just because you do other strokes,
Mm.
you kinda get into a pattern, and then when you just go on your back, you just kind of repeat that pattern.
Yeah, I guess so. But you didn't even know you're doing it. It's just happening
I didn't
naturally.
know I was doing it, yeah.
That's freaky. Okay.
Sometimes when people think about going fast, it's
Mm.
like an instant, like, you know, we gotta crunch up a little bit to really be really strong and powerful, whereas I think stretching out and using your length is so strong.
Mm. Some people talk about backstroke as kind of like a canoe kind of thing, like you kind of roll your shoulders in. Do you do that or not?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I rotate a lot with my upper body, but I don't try and
You
canoe
don't.
because
Yeah. Right.
I use my pecs
Mm-hmm.
swim, like, that's
Right.
where my power is coming from,
Right.
is through here and through my back and through my lats. So if I hunched up, I wouldn't be able to get as much power with my
Mm.
stroke.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. For me, I kind of lock the hips in to swim fast, lock them in a way that I got more rotation from my shoulders. Obviously, when I'm swimming freestyle, I'm kind of coming over the top of the water. I want to get more rotation in the top, but I want to lock those hips in. Is that similar in backstroke where you get more rotation in your shoulders, but lock the hip in a little bit?
Yeah, so it's a lot of core and, like, cross connection, so from,
Mm-hmm.
like, shoulder to hip.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to my kids, I'm like, "You can rotate your shoulders without rotating your hips." As soon as you start rotating your hips to the side, you then start kicking
Right.
to the side.
Right.
Your legs will kind of follow what your hips are doing. So if you could keep those hips straight and kicking back,
Mm.
then to the side, it's just so much faster.
Yeah. 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 I like this. We're learning a lot here. Thank you for doing this.